It's great to be here with you. I have a prop I need to get out.
Orange and black. Good.
So Michelle got it right, which is that I'm here talking to you today, not because necessarily of the rest of the bio that you see in my bio in the program, but because back in 1972, Andy Heim gave me a job. And I actually know how to use one of these, although you wouldn't know it from looking at this one because it's brand new. It's obviously never been on a job site. It was actually a present from the Carpenters Union, which I appreciate very much, and I keep it in my office. So this is my ceremonial tool belt. You have to have one for show, right? And then I have one at home that looks like a tool belt should, because it's dirty and nicked, and it's got some, blue chalk smeared into the leather, and it's a respectable tool belt. But trust me that I have one of those. But I'm here talking with you because in 1972, Andy Heim gave me a job. I was 16. I was looking for my first summer job, and through a network, in that case, it was just friends, family, and church, knew about this guy that ran a commercial painting company. And with a little encouragement from my dad, I went and talked to Andy and persuaded him, and he took an interest in me, and we took a chance on each other that I would be a good starter employee in his painting firm. And that led to other summer construction jobs that helped me pay my way through college. Yes, I had some help from my parents, but I also needed to raise enough money to make it through. Student loans weren't as available as they are now, and maybe that's a good thing, because I graduated not burdened by the kind of debt that students graduate with now. And that led eventually to that job with the Home Builders Association. And I've had a lifelong interest in how things are built, not just houses, but cities. And that first summer job, that first internship opportunity for me is literally why I'm here, standing here talking with you today, as a steward of this place and someone who works with all of you to build it. That's how important this is. You are literally creating the careers and futures of young people through this program. This work has never been more important, and it's never been more catalytic in the lives of those students and in the future of our city. Let me talk a little bit about that future, because this is going to be so critical. We're growing. You all know this. When I was running for mayor back in 2012, there were 2 construction cranes on the horizon in our city, and they were both for public works projects. What a change a couple of years has made of finally coming out of this recession and having this amazing market that many of us are now enjoying. And of course, that growth is both an opportunity and a challenge. It's a challenge politically, it's a challenge physically in terms of infrastructure and investment. It's a challenge for building the workforce that enables us to build this place. And I think some of you may have been following these studies. If you haven't, write down in your iPhone or on your program, City Observatory, and check out the studies that Joe Courtwright has done about what's happening in the economy nationally, and particularly what that means for here. And he's done 3 studies for City Observatory over the last couple of years. And the first was called The Young and the Restless, and it took up the question of, are they really coming here to retire, right? Young people are moving around the country. Young, creative people are moving. Where are they going and why? Richard Florida, of course, another social scientist, has spent a lot of time studying this. But Joe's study really shows that that creative class cohort is looking for a particular kind of urban environment, and they're going there. They're finding the place first, and then the job, in many cases. And Portland is winning in that equation, because we're a great place. We've built a livable, hospitable, clean, and prosperous city that is exactly what those young people are looking for. Good news, happy about that study. The second study that Joe did was much more troubling, and that's about income inequality and about how it is actually reconcentrated. You know, we had a war on poverty back in the 1970s when I was a high school and college student. And we've had other efforts to try to deal with poverty, and we always have to continue those. But unfortunately, what's happened in our economy nationally and here is that we have reconcentrated poverty. So in 1972, Portland had 3 census tracts where more than 30% of the population fell below the poverty line. Now, thanks to both that reconcentration and other demographic changes, we have 11 census tracts in Portland, where 30% of the population lives below the poverty line. So that's tough news that we as a community need to deal with. The third study that was just released a few weeks ago, and in fact, there was a Wall Street Journal story that you may have seen yesterday about this pattern, talking about Expedia moving into downtown Seattle from the suburbs, that there is a reconcentration of business development and job growth into central cities. That's very much the case here. The huge majority of new development and job growth are happening in the central city. There's still some growth happening in the suburbs, but prior to the recession, it was very much the other way around. Most of the growth in jobs and housing was in the suburbs. Now most of it is here in the city of Portland. So again, that brings this combination of challenges and opportunities. We have prosperity, we have rising household incomes, we have this amazing tech sector here that's burgeoning and growing, and we have real poverty and concentrations of it. And in fact, that comes right down into the lives of young people. And in addition to being someone who thinks a lot about the development and growth of the city, I also think a lot about kids, both because I'm a dad, because I spend a lot of time working in partnership with our school districts, and because I'm the police commissioner. And unfortunately, we are seeing a huge resurgence in our city of gang violence, something that we dealt with in the past and that we made some inroads into, but now is back at us with a vengeance, literally with a vengeance. So far this year in the city of Portland, like most other great American cities, crime is down. It's been going down in most categories for the last decade. All the Part 1 crimes are down. But gang violence is up. In the first now 4 months of this year, we've had over 38 gang violence incidents. That's 50% more than we had last year. And we've had over 300 shots fired in our neighborhoods. I happened to show up at the end of a police ride-along where one of those incidents happened, where a young man and a crowd of kids leaving the East Portland Community Center at 106th and Stark literally turned and fired back into the crowd at his intended victim, unfortunately missing everyone. And he was then arrested and successfully arrested with no further incident or harm to anyone. And unfortunately, this 17-year-old is now in the criminal justice system and is likely to be in it for a long time. Every day in this community, there are kids that are making choices about joining gangs and going the wrong way. And what you offer as a caring adult, as a mentor, what you offer to these kids is not just an internship, not just a job, but literally hope and a chance for a good life versus hopelessness and tragedy. And I want to emphasize that. This really matters. Each kid matters. Each connection that you make through this program matters. And for some young people, it's not melodramatic to say that that's life and death. It wasn't for me. Andy Heim gave me a job. I got to go to college. I probably would have turned out all right one way or another without those helping hands. But for a lot of kids, it's even more critical and even more catalytic than that. So I'm here with good news and bad news. The good news is, and you know this, our city is prospering, it's growing, it's going to be growing a lot over the next, who knows how many years. Yes, we have a 2035 plan, but even in the next 5 years, we're going to see a great deal of growth. And we might see more of it if the 37 million people just to the south of us don't get some rain. So they might choose to come up here too for different reasons than I did or maybe many of you did. So growth is going to be a reality for us. And again, that is a challenge, but it's also a great opportunity because the demographics in every industry are that we will need a new workforce. And you see it here in this room. Among these kids, you hear the promise in the voices that we heard here today. Antonio, Iris, London, and Brett. You hear how much potential they have to help your company grow and to help this city grow. But it's also good for us as mentors and as sponsors. There's a great satisfaction in this work in helping young people. We have interns in our office, and it's a great satisfaction for us. But it also causes us to grow and stretch a little bit. You heard Jim talk about that, about the personal growth that he's experienced. And you know, be a little more flippant here than I mean, but you know, we're all getting older and we want to stave off senility, right? Well, scientists say that if you stretch and do something new and different, it helps. I want to reduce my risk. I'm going to try to do something new and different more often because I like having all my faculties. So one of the things they say to do is try writing things with your left hand if you're right-handed. That's hard. Or maybe try mentoring a young person when you haven't done anything like that in a while. It's good for us. It'll stretch our brains. And you know, there are a lot of construction people here and architects and a few engineers, and I did work for an engineering company, and so I can get away with an engineer joke, even if I can't get away with the other kind. But you know, engineers sometimes like to stay in their cubicles. You know, they don't necessarily naturally reach out to a young person. So this might force some of us to do that, right? We all know the difference between an introvert engineer and an extrovert engineer, right? When the extrovert engineer talks to you, he looks at your shoes. So this will help. This will help even those extrovert engineers live longer, be healthier, and have a better career. But this is serious. This is really an opportunity to do the right thing for the right reasons, help your company, help the city, and have a powerful catalytic effect in the life of a young person. It doesn't get much better than that. So that's why I'm here. I love this program. I love what you do. I love the commitment in this room and the young people who feel that commitment from you. That's really important. So thank you for your support. Please redouble your support. Let's do more. Let's bring in more kids to this program. Let's find more mentors and sponsors. Keep growing this great effort. It's the right thing to do, and it's wonderful. Thank you very much for your support for this program.